Now, if you are using the beet flow supplement, the first thing you want to do to kick things up a notch is to do what we call a beet flow flush on one day, and then the following day you want to do either a coffee enema or use a coffee suppository. What we like to see people do is do the beet flow flush on one day because that really works to thin the bile, and then the following day do the coffee suppository or a coffee enema because that works to dilate or open up that biliary pathway that the bile is supposed to flow through. So the combination of really aggressively thinning the bile and then also dilating that pathway to make it easier to flow through seems to be the most effective step that we see people make. And they'll do that step once every 5 to 7 days for 4 or 5 weeks if they need to really get stubborn bile moving, and that's usually going to be the step that works for most people. Now, when you do your beet flow flush, one way to really turbocharge that is to take 2 capsules of choline at the end of that flush. Now, choline is really good at thinning bile, and if it's appropriate for you, you could use it on every meal as well to help accelerate the ability to thin the bile out. The problem is only some people can use choline, and your breath rate needs to be a little bit faster to use choline, or you're going to create oxygen utilization issues and a lot of other energy production problems, and it's going to make you feel really lousy. So you want to test your breath rate. You can just set a kitchen timer for like a minute and count how many times you inhale for a minute. Don't count inhale as 1 and exhale as 2. Just count the inhales. And if it's 14 or higher, then you could probably use a little bit of choline without creating a whole bunch of trouble. But if your breath rate is lower than 12, you really don't want to use choline because that can create a lot of trouble for you. But if choline is appropriate for your body chemistry, this is a great way to really turbocharge things and get bile thinned out a little bit faster. Now, this is really rare. We don't see this very often, but it's absolutely possible, and it's something that we see enough that you need to keep it in mind. So one step that you can test out is you can supplement with ox bile or TUDCA. What you can do is you can test out using some ox bile or TUDCA and see, does that improve any of your digestive symptoms that may go on, like when you eat fats, you get nauseous, or maybe you don't feel well and you're not digesting those very well. If you supplement with ox bile or TUDCA and those symptoms improve, then you can continue to do that as sort of like a crutch until you can get your bile moving correctly. Because here's what's interesting. When you supplement with ox bile, it can actually stimulate your body to make more bile. So that can reduce how long you have to use this ox bile. The tricky thing is that you really don't want to use ox bile or TUDCA with your meals because both of those are alkaline in the stomach, and they'll reduce your stomach acid and reduce your ability to break down your food properly and digest your food correctly. We like to see people take those supplements away from meals.